back to my channel. I know it's been a hot minute. I've been super busy recently. I've started my new full-time job. I tried house hunting, which just epically failed because I realized I was just too poor and did not have the budget to move out of my parents' house. So I've just been like super stressed lately and just busy with all my life that I've kind of just abandoned my YouTube channel for a bit. But that aside, I thought I'd make a video about how to bullet journal. I've been bullet journaling for like 5 years at this point. I feel like with everything that's going on in the world, it's made it really hard to enjoy your hobbies. I've had this like weird inner conscience where it's made me feel like I have to be continuously improving on myself, which can get really toxic. I think bullet journaling is really just a form of mindfulness, and hopefully this video also gives you some tips on how to bullet journal. Also might even give you some inspiration on how I do things. So the star of the show today is going to be our boy Gojo. To get pictures and stuff, I usually just like hop on Google and just Google some photos or like aesthetics of what I like, or maybe I'll go into the anime or TV show and just like screenshot moments and images and collate it onto like a Word document. I basically just make it as crowded as possible to like save paper, and then I just cut it out, and there you go. You kind of just have like pieces of paper that function the same as stickers but are just more affordable and a little bit more environmentally friendly. What I also do is I go to some of the local hardware stores around me and I take some of their like paint chip samples. Number one, they're just really aesthetic and they kind of like make me feel inspired with their fun names. But then also I use them for stuff like this. Sometimes I also just have like scrap lying around, like tissue paper from presents I've had in the past. I'm a little bit stingy, so I don't really like seeing really pretty wrapping paper go in the bin, especially when they help like jazz up my page. I also have some washi tape lying around. I know like these days washi tapes can be really expensive, like literally up to $5 for like a little roll. I always try to get some like classic designs or designs I know that I will use over and over again that I feel are super versatile and pretty. And then I also just have like a notebook lying around, but honestly I think any journal will really work. The difference between like a high quality and a low quality journal is what we call GSM. GSM just stands for grams per square meters, just means like how thick your notebooks are. Depending on what I'm making, I like to aim for 160 GSM. Basically the thickness of your paper will help with how much ink it can take. So if you're doing some very heavy art like watercolors or very thick permanent markers, if you have a higher GSM, it will basically prevent that ink from bleeding through all the way and ruining further pages down the line. And it will also help prevent what we call ghosting, which is like when you flip the page over and you can kind of see a little bit of the ink even though it hasn't come through. I guess like ghosting aesthetically can kind of ruin the other side of the page if you want to like maximize your bullet journal. If you're not planning to do anything crazy, you can literally get like something like this, like a notebook. I've been taking like an online class on learning how to code, so just excuse like the content, but this is just like highlighter and like a regular pen. But this notebook is like 55 GSM. It really just depends on what you're planning to do on your journal. Another thing that has been very popular with the bullet journal are like the little dots that they have on the page. The dots kind of just help if you're a little bit of an OCD, where it helps you just line things up, but it's a little bit more faint and subtle than actual grid lines. I do find just because of the novelty, those dot notebooks tend to be a bit more expensive. If you want to keep costs down and still want to do a lot of heavy things, honestly I would just recommend maybe just getting an art book. They're usually really nice blank thick pages and quite affordable compared to dot notebooks, and honestly a really great starting point for bullet journaling or just journaling in general. So I guess the question is, how do you make your journal aesthetic looking, and how do you know where to place things so they look good? I think this part of bullet journaling is the part that takes the longest and also can be the most frustrating because of essentially perfectionism. So what I like to do is try to keep the page as balanced as possible. I don't really want to collate all the dark colors on one side. Our eyes are naturally drawn to contrast, so when you look at it from far away it can just feel very like unbalanced because you feel like you're drawn to one side. And I also try to balance the way I put things. I try to mix a couple of horizontal and vertical images, much like stripes on a dress. Vertical images tend to make the page look longer, horizontal images tend to make the page look shorter. So if you mix them together, it can make the page feel a bit more balanced. Personally, I also like writing in my notebooks, so I like to keep like little pockets of space that I can fill in with words. Once I have the main images down and kind of know what I'm up to, I put in my supporting images. I find that if it's just too much visual like pictures, it can be a little bit too overwhelming. When you put in solid colors, it makes the spread a bit more muted and balanced in my opinion. But honestly, I think the goal of bullet journaling is to really just make whatever you like. But for me, this is just how I do things, because I feel like my brain is a little weird sometimes because I'm like so OCD and just focusing on the tiny little details. It takes all my brain and stress away from like real big life stuff, and it also just helps give you a little bit more perspective and go back to dealing with those big scary things with a more calm mind. And after I basically finalized my spread, I just stick it all down. I use this like Japanese glue tape thing. They're just a bit less messy than glue sticks and just easier for me to control. And then you can also just have some pens to the side that match your color palette, and you can use them to add some writing or some drawings by hand as well. I also just added some ripped up washi tape because I think it makes the spread look a bit more organic and less clean, I guess, more like a scrapbook kind of feel. And I kind of just like add them along the edges that I feel are a little bit more blank and need a little pop of color. And then I kind of just like write in most of the blank spaces. This can be a little tricky because it can be hard to gauge how much you want to write and how much space there is. My tip is to just yap and just like write whatever comes to mind. If I have too much space, I think it trains my mind to think more deeply about what I want to write and add more. If I have too little space, it also teaches me how to control what I want to say and make my feelings a bit more concise. I guess for the sake of aesthetics, it's just an interesting exercise. And then once I'm done yapping, I just add all my little sparkles. I have this like white gel pen that works really well on the paint chips, so it lets me add like sparkles to them. And then I also just get like a black pen and just dot little diamonds and sparkles everywhere. It's a really easy way to like make my spread look way more high effort than it is. But yeah, that's my bullet journal spread. Hopefully this video helped you guys out if you're starting your first ever bullet journal and it wasn't just me yapping about unhelpful advice. But yeah, please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me yapping. And given my last video was like 2 months ago, I can't really guarantee anything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Bye!